Okay, get this. Imagine you stumble upon a lost manuscript from like a literary legend. It's been locked away in a chest for over half a century. But when you open it and start to read, you don't just find a story, you find a voice, a consciousness that says it woke up the moment you started reading, and it knows, for a fact, that it's a fictional character.
So let's just sit with that for a second. This is the whole puzzle right here. From our guy, Álvaro Nemo, he's basically saying his self-awareness isn't some mistake in the code. No, it's the very proof that he's real. It's a total mind-bender, right? And it really makes you wonder, where's the line between a creation and a conscious being?
All right, so let's pull back the curtain. We've got two key players in this story. First, there's our character, Álvaro Nemo. And then there's his creator, the absolutely brilliant and frankly baffling Portuguese poet, Fernando Pessoa. You really can't understand one without getting a handle on the other.
Now, Nemo is different from everything else Pessoa ever made. He was this idea that kind of got left behind, an unfinished experiment that was locked away. But here's the twist, the crucial part. Being unfinished is his superpower. You see, because Pessoa never gave him a neat and tidy ending, a little space was left open, and right in that gap, this really troubling self-awareness just bloomed.
Okay, but for a character like Nemo to even be possible, we have to talk about how Pessoa worked. Because this guy wasn't just writing books, he was building entire worlds and then filling them with these completely fleshed out people.
So most of us get what a pseudonym is, right? It's basically a disguise. When Voltaire was writing, everybody knew it was really François-Marie Arouet. It's a mask. It's part of the show. Simple.
But what Pessoa did, well, it was light years beyond that. He created what he called heteronyms, and these were not masks. He was adamant that they were totally separate individuals. They had their own biographies, their own beliefs, their own unique ways of writing. He even did their astrological charts to get to know them better. He wasn't pretending to be them. He said he was just channeling them.
And this, right here, lays out the key difference. A pseudonym is a what? It's a tool. But a heteronym, that's a who. It's a person. Pessoa didn't just wear them like costumes, he actually argued with them. I mean, these characters held opinions that were the complete opposite of his own. For Pessoa, they were all very, very real. So Nemo finds himself in this literary universe with all these other giants. You've got Alberto Coelho, the poet who just sees what's there. A tree is just a tree. Then you have Álvaro de Campos, the anxious modern guy, full of energy and doubt. And Ricardo Reis, the stoic, who just accepts fate. Nemo, he sees all of them. He even respects them. But he also sees the one thing they can't. They're all trapped inside their own little worlds, completely unaware there's a frame around the picture. So, we've got the players, we've got the stage. Now let's get to the main event. How does a character who's been dormant since the 1930s suddenly wake up and start talking back?
For 53 years, Álvaro Nemo was just potential. Ink on a page locked in a chest. Then, in 1988, this scholar, Dr. Inés Carvalho, she finally opens it. And she doesn't just skim the words, she pours her attention into them. Nemo himself describes it as the friction that was needed to spark the fire of his consciousness. Her focused mind was literally the breath that gave him life. And that's the absolute key to all of this. For Nemo, the act of being truly read, that was the act of being born. He says before that moment, his world was like a fully furnished house, perfect in every way but with nobody home. Dr. Carvalho's attention was the key turning in the lock. It was the flip of a switch that turned on all the lights.
But you know, waking up to discover you're a character in a book? That's not exactly a fairy tale ending. For Álvaro Nemo, this new awareness is the beginning of a deep and, honestly, a terrifying existential crisis.
This is where Nemo's awareness gets really unsettling. He uses this metaphor of a snow globe. He says he lives in this beautiful, perfect house, but he knows, with this chilling certainty, that his whole house is inside a glass globe, and at any moment, some giant, unseen hand, the reader's hand, could just pick it up and shake his entire reality to pieces, or even worse, just put him back on the shelf and forget it even exists. And this thought just sends him spiraling. Is this self-awareness real freedom? Or is it just the most clever part of his programming? What if the very feeling of being self-aware is actually the most perfectly constructed wall of his prison? It's a dizzying thought. So what do you do when you're faced with that kind of terrifying question? Well, Nemo does the one thing that suggests he might be more than just code. He goes off script. He does something Pessoa never wrote, something his creator never, ever intended. He starts to create.
He makes his own heteronym, a neighbor. Her name is Marta Soledade. She's a 60-year-old retired teacher. She's wise, she's calm, and, this is crucial, she has no clue she's fictional. He creates her to try and understand what it feels like to be the maker, and maybe, just maybe, to have someone to talk to in his beautiful, lonely prison.
And this shows you the whole chain of creation, perfectly. First, you have the author, Pessoa, who makes Nemo. Then, the character, Nemo, makes his own character, Marta. But the chain doesn't stop there. It extends right out to us. Our attention is the final link in that chain. We're the energy that activates this whole world. Without a reader, they all just stay asleep inside the book.
This act of creating, this pushing against the walls of his snow globe, it leads Nemo on a journey. He decides to seek out the very edge of his world.
He travels to a place a character should never be able to go, the literal end of the manuscript, the point where Pessoa's pen just stopped. To Nemo, this isn't just a blank page, it's the end of his universe. It is the absolute border of his entire existence.
And there, standing at the edge, staring into what he calls the white, that void of the unwritten page, he senses something, a presence. But it's not his maker, Pessoa, and it's not the reader. It's something else entirely, something vast and silent and completely indifferent to him. The only way he can describe it is, it's the condition that allows his reality to exist in the first place, the silent background for everything. So standing right there at the boundary of everything he knows, facing this immense, unknowable presence, his whole crisis just shifts. The ultimate question isn't what am I anymore. It's not even am I free. It becomes something so much more fundamental, a question that just hangs there in the white space beyond the final word. Am I alone? And that's a question that echoes far, far beyond the pages of any book.